Welcome back. Now, the world observes the United Nations World Autism Day in April to raise awareness about the causes, symptoms, and prevention of autism. This year, the focus is to create a world where we support, champion, and celebrate individuals with autism spectrum disorder, which is a growing global health issue. For more insights on this issue, I'm joined by Benson Mutoko, Taraji Africa Educational Group Head of Inclusion and Learning Support. Many thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Let's begin with what are some of the common signs and symptoms that parents or caregivers should look out for when we talk about children with autism?
Thank you so much. Children born with autism broad spectrum disorder, they tend to have delayed speech from early age. They tend to be quite hyperactive from early age. Sometimes you find themselves also they are hypersensitive to things like sound. They try to muffle their ears. And generally they want to be loners. They want to play alone. They don't want to interact with other learners or other children. Sometimes they don't know how to regulate their emotions and the feelings. And they end up having meltdowns which are uncontrollable, and it can be a nightmare to caregivers and to parents. So those are early signs for children living with the autism. Sometimes they don't give you even eye contact. Mm-hmm. They have no sense of danger. And it becomes quite a challenge to contain and maintain them if you don't have the knowledge and the awareness of autism.
So now that we're talking about ASD, and particularly in children, how early can it be diagnosed, and what are the benefits of early intervention?
Yes, early intervention is the way to go, but before you do the intervention, you must see the real signs from early age. Mm-hmm. Just from 6 months, you'll see my child is not giving me the eye contact. They are not responding to tapping or to calls. Sometimes as they grow up, you find that they are not acquiring the milestone, especially communication in the right time. And sometimes you might assume your child is quite energetic, or your child is quite all over. But that is a sign to tell you, no, something might not be right. Mm-hmm. And you find that at that time, when you're able to identify this, then it's good to seek help from paramedics who are able to tell you, no, we need to do an assessment so that we can put the child in early intervention, because that is the way to go. We intervene early, you're able to sort most of the problem which might be extended to higher years, right. And that's what to do.
Now, and how can schools and communities better support individuals with ASD? Because first of all, there's not enough awareness around autism. And so you find some children still being integrated in normal schools, so to speak, where teachers might not be able to pick out that there is an actual issue. So how can schools better support such persons?
Thank you, Lillian. As an educator, this is what we are advocating, that these children need to be given opportunity, and we need to integrate them in our school system. Mm-hmm. But there is that issue of awareness, issue of lack of resources, issue of schools not being able to accommodate them. Lillian, today, if you want to go and look school for your child, they will be told to come on this day for entrance exams. But if they don't attend the school, then they are kept away from the school. But is there anybody who asks the question, why did the child not attend this school? Is there an underlying issue? Is there anything as a school we can do to help the child? Mm-hmm. So what schools can do is, rather than just setting the entrance exams, we need to start creating awareness and know we have this group of children who need our support, who need to be guided and go through the education system as part of their right, so that they can benefit out of it. Schools should be able to equip themselves with therapy centers, with the teaching and learning resource centers where these children needs can be met, because they have extra needs, but they have very good intellect. They need just that support from the specialist. Schools need to bring on board special needs teachers who are trained to manage these children so that they can integrate them in an inclusive setup. And that is very critical because children learn very well from their peers. So if children are put with their neurotypical learners, or the regular learners, as we call them, then it means that children will be mentored, they will be challenged, these milestones will be acquired within a short period, and wow, you find that these are good results compared to even therapy intervention being done by specialists.
We're talking about resources, and the issue here is the affordability.
Yes.
And so you find that for the upper middle class, or the persons that are doing fairly better in terms of their social status, are able to afford the special care that we're talking about. Where are we as regards integrating these children in our regular schools here in Kenya? And talking even about the rural areas where you might find autistic children as well. What advancements are we seeing in those particular areas?
Thank you so much. We have legislations and we have policies on guiding on inclusion. But the resources needed to help these children in the inclusion setup are so expensive. Educating a child with autism, or general children with special needs in this country, is so expensive. And sometimes parents for children with special needs, they feel that it's as if they are being punished for having those kind of children, because getting placement in schools is very difficult. It's a nightmare. Number two, inclusion, which we are advocating and campaigning for, it's so limited. We have very, very few institutions where we can place these children. Government has done its bit, but it's not yet enough, because we are moving from exclusion to inclusion, and we need the resources, we need the capacity, we need the personnel to manage this. And managing program for children with special needs can be very expensive. And that's why most of the teaching, learning institutions, they don't dare venture into it, because it's quite costly. And you'll find that even those who purport to be offering inclusion, few of them have the resources and have the capacity. So you find that the children end up getting wasted at home and without the right placement. So we lack the resources, we lack the training, we lack the institutions and the therapy centers. And children with special needs, they incur a lot of costs, because they need therapy on top of the daily upkeep. They will need treatment. They will need to be transported because they cannot use the normal transport. So all that burden is on the parent. So we need to come in as a country, as a society, stakeholders, so that we are able to support these families and these children at large.
So as we close, what advice would you give to parents or caregivers of children recently diagnosed with autism? And just having been in this field, can such children with support be well integrated into society, have a well-functioning life later into adulthood, because we know that there are adults that are autistic as well?
Lillian, I work for Taraji Africa Education Group, where we have a model inclusion program. Our schools, we have 5 schools which are all inclusive. And we have been able to advocate and create awareness for these children. And our parents, for the neurotypical learners, they have appreciated this approach. Our children, the neurotypical children, have accepted their peers who are living with special needs. And you come to the school, you find it's a family. Everybody embraces each other. We support each other to move forward. And that's what we are advocating. And for the parents and caregivers, the most important thing, accept my child as that need. And you rise up to get the right help for your child from early age, so that we are able to build this milestone for these children and in future so that they can live independent and viable life. That is what is important. But above all, we need to support the institutions to be able to provide this service for these kind of children.
Benson Mutuku, we thank you so much for your time. Benson Mutuku is the Taraji Africa Educational Group Head of Inclusion.